I want to go somewhere because I
Where are you
want
going?
I want to talk
The
about.
cast isn't done yet.
I
Joe.
want I want to talk about Before Mysterio, but I thought this is not as prevalent. So I got some Aunt May problems. This is some big cons for me. And you know what? If you think, I don't give a shit about Aunt May, just a minor character, that's fine. And that's where, when it comes in different adaptation, it's all what works for you. For me, I love Aunt May. It's kind of like an Alfred thing. It's important to the character. I think this is where some of the laziest writing gets in here because I don't understand. So this homecoming ended with this huge reveal of Peter being revealed to her. She gets a big cliffhanger. Oh, what the fuck? And we've never had that in movies. So I remember seeing Homecoming and being like, oh, well, this is going to be fun. Let's see how this plays out. Sure, you get some fun banter. Sure, I packed your suit in the suitcase. But we don't even get one conversation. Not a flashback, nothing about it. And for me, the biggest problem is in Homecoming, at one point when he was dealing with that boat that split up, he just said he was late. And when he shows up late, Aunt May's super frantic. She was calling him. She's worried. She's having an anxiety attack. You would think that same character who is worried that her nephew is just late would be even ultra worried that it's Spider-Man. And even if she's not, then why is she not? Because that makes no sense. They had a character set up. They gave her motivations. And to me, that set up perfectly of, she's going to be really worried. So now that she knows he's Spider-Man, she's going to be always worried of, should you do this? Like, you're putting your life on the risk. But this is just so nonchalant. And that's not my problem with the MCU Spider-Man. I feel they just don't really want to get too emotional with Peter. The Iron Man stuff's different because it's a big death that affects like the viewers and everyone else in the world. But scenes like I'm comparing, but whatever, that's life. I like to compare, and Taylor doesn't, so I know he's gonna give me shit over there. But with Peter Parker, when he's telling that scene in Spider-Man 2 about how he let Uncle Ben's killer go and he killed Uncle Ben, and he's telling at me, it's just this 5-minute scene of them talking and crying. It's really emotional, and I think they don't want to do that because they want to keep with this team. Like, that's me vibe. They want to keep with that fun, loving kind of vibe, and that's what doesn't work for me. And it makes no sense that they set up Aunt May to be this one character. She's a different character in the next movie, and then they don't even talk about it. And two, the other thing is because I'm a big Uncle Ben fan, and just that idea, still not really talked about. And it reminded me of Quicksilver in Dark Phoenix. Minor spoiler. They set up a fucking home run. She's starting to finally date. Now would be the time, like, hey, I haven't met anyone since your uncle, but happy. He's a really nice guy. Like, he makes me happy, no pun intended. Like, there's multiple ways to bring up him being Spider-Man or Uncle Ben, and it just bugs me. And that's why it's an adaptation. They're not doing it. That's fine if you enjoy that. But for me, I still want that. And it just is, it's very, the Uncle Ben stuff, fine, but the Aunt May stuff really bugs me because they set this whole thing up at Homecoming, and they just abandon it to, like, he's fun, and,
I think at this point in time, they did that with Homecoming, but then after, Infinity War and then Endgame, we got two really huge movies where I feel like those events would definitely, whether there's some dynamic or not with Aunt May, those two events would have definitely made Aunt May feel comfortable that he is fighting.
But why not have her say that? That's thing.
Because this is already such a long time after Homecoming, like a really long time.
For us, not really though. It's not in continuity.
It's at least like
and for
5
us,
years though.
So, well, it is, but not for her. She didn't get snapped, so she has the same continuity as he does. And for us, it's only been 2 years since Homecoming.
If she didn't
get snapped,
then
she did get snapped. Sorry, yeah.
Well, if she did, then it would have been. I don't know.
It's the same time.
Would have been pretty quick. But then even then, I feel like she would have felt justified in his actions that he is one of the reasons that she came back, But
then I think that conversation needs to happen. It shouldn't be you have to tell me that. It doesn't make sense to set her up as this character who's frantically worried about her nephew. Just being late, even before she knows he's Spider-Man, to he is out there fucking fighting everything, get your suit, just something. But they don't even talk about. There's even one more, I can't remember. He screws up, and she goes, "Oh, it's fine. He does something wrong. It's like, oh, it's fine. You deserve a break or whatever." It's just they're constantly, anytime there's stakes like that in these movies, they just pull them away from Peter. That's why I like the Mysterio thing. But other than that, they just handle him with kid gloves. Like, there's no consequences to his actions because I just think they don't want you to deal with that. And that happened a lot in Homecoming too. Just everything is like, why is he late? Why is this like nothing's really? He gets no punishment whatsoever. It's just very breezy, and that's why I worry we'll get in the end credits, but. Like that reveal, I don't think it's going to really go the way it is because the Homecoming ended with this huge reveal of Aunt May. To me, that's where I don't buy what you're selling is because if they ended the movie like that to me is a major plot point. You don't end the movie like that if it's going to be nothing in your second movie. She's nothing in this movie. She's comedic relief.
It didn't. I mean, I really liked Aunt May in the movie, and that, I definitely overlooked it, and maybe it was just, grooming from the trailers or whatever they showed. Like, I wasn't going in there expecting, okay, where's that dynamic scene between Peter being Spider-Man and Aunt May? Give me that scene. Like, I wasn't let down at all with that, and for me personally, I really liked how she was so pro Spider-Man, and I loved it, like that scene when the suit was in there with the note, and I like jumped in my seat like, oh no, and even the reaction Peter gave, it was fantastic. And I at the end of the day though, I mean, it's not something that I'll probably like sweat too much over because there's just to me, like, yes, she was snapped, and Peter was snapped too, but there's just so much of a time period that changed the world and everything like that, and I don't know, I can get over that, I guess.
I think I'm more on Travis's side because she doesn't have like any meaningful conversation in this whole movie. Like, I think the best stuff from her in the first movie was between her and Tony, and so obviously you can't really have that dynamic anymore, and that wasn't even like deep conversation either. That was just more comedic relief, but it was fun to see that dynamic. And I do kind of like the stuff between her and Happy. I think it's kind of funny. But yeah, it's like her character really doesn't have any depth, and it's definitely lacking that emotional attachment that Aunt May always has for this character and like every other form of Spider-Man I've ever seen.
Like even the game, like think about how much they hit you with that. You know, she's just such a big character, and this just feels she's just
Peter's always he's always different around her because that's his only family, and it's kind of like this twisted relationship. And there's like this big trauma there with Uncle Ben, which we still don't know about. So there's it's just too bad that I don't know. I'm fine with it being like a younger Aunt May. That has nothing to do with it. It's just that they don't really want to do anything with her, which kind of sucks. It's like you almost could have not had Aunt May in this continuity or something.
And why get an actress she's won an Oscar before? Like, why get an actress of that caliber? When they cast her, I'm like, oh, you're going to Oscar-winning actress. You're going to give her some really meaty stuff to do here. And it's, good for her. She's getting a paycheck. That's nice. But it's strange to go. You could get almost any no-name for this role.
Yeah, I do like the supportive, like the dynamic of Aunt May being supportive of Spider-Man. I think that's cool. But yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with like her still being worried about him and being supportive, right? Like they shouldn't have to be separate things. And I know it's tricky because he's not in America in this movie, so maybe like when they get back, they're gonna have some more of like her dynamic, but maybe they won't. Maybe she'll just always kind of stay like this, and if she does, then unfortunately she's just another flat character when there's already quite a few of those in this movie and the first movie.
I have to say I really, really liked when she just whipped that banana at his head.
You really, really liked it.
I really, really liked it.
Okay.
It was fine. It created the Peter Tingle joke, which I wasn't a fan
Love
of.
that joke.
The Aunt May stuff, I feel like I'm kind of in the middle because I feel like it was a missed opportunity for them to have like a sentimental conversation like in the beginning of the movie because that was when they're actually together as opposed to like right at the end. But like especially I don't know, just mention like stuff that happened in Endgame or just like I don't know. It just felt like
a huge thing.
Yeah,
it
felt like a very lost opportunity for me. And like even like in that moment when I was watching it, like when they send off. So obviously they're not. I am butchering my words right now. But but he goes to Europe. She remains in America. So they're not together. As soon as that happened, I was just like, oh, that was kind of lit. Like hopefully we get something back like later on in the movie, which we didn't end up really getting. And I don't know, I felt like it didn't bug me as much because of what Dylan said, like they are in different places. Like if this whole movie was in New York and the same thing happened where they don't even talk about it, that would have been really hard to digest. But this one I'm kind of giving it a break for that, but I definitely understand like the problems with it, and I do agree to a certain extent that I don't know, I do understand the importance of Aunt May of a character in the Spider-Man. Just I don't know anything to do with Spider-Man. The mythos. That's a good word. I like that one. But she's really like important character to Peter, and like it really like builds that character. So I'm hoping in the next movie we do get to see some more just fleshed out things with her, and I don't know. But for this one, I'm kind of giving it a pass mainly because they were in different places, but definitely could have been better.
Yeah.
Sorry, were you going to say something else there? No? Okay.
Buddy.
I was going to say, I think, sometimes you got to, when you have a lot of sequels established or on the way, I think you got to like give and take and trade with different films. I think the first one, Homecoming, had a lot of that kind of dynamic and a lot of that care where he was worried about Aunt May after all she's been through and all that stuff. And even then moments like where, he was trapped under the rubble and he had to like, it was a really, emotional moment when he was trying to just gain that confidence and just push up out of it. And I feel like, a lot of those scenes that weren't in this movie, I think we got things in both movies that we didn't get at the same time in each other movies. So like what we did and didn't get in Homecoming, we didn't get, but we did get in Far From Home. So I feel like
I guess I just look at it and I'm like, Okay, I would have taken Ned out of this movie. I would take the teacher out.
Oh.
Have an Aunt May scene that actually has like impact on the story
Mhm.
or some emotional attachment. So that's where I see like I feel like there's a lot of filler in this movie, and that, like introducing that whole gym teacher character who just says "which" 5 times. Like
Yeah.
take him out completely, and boom, you just gained yourself 2 minutes that you can have like one emotional scene
Mhm.
with Aunt May. So if there wasn't so much like kind of, I feel like I don't want to say crap. It sounds really bad, but yeah, like if there
Fodder.
if there wasn't so much fodder just kind of packed into this movie, maybe I could understand that better. But as it stands, like if this is the Aunt May if this is all Aunt May ever is, and she's just like this in all the rest of the movies, then I'm gonna be pretty disappointed with it.
I don't think
So-
it will be. I mean, if
I
the
think it
rumors,
will be.
No, I don't know. I think they'll definitely, I think the next movie, we didn't get much in this, but I think we'll definitely get a lot more in the next. I think as Peter gets older, I think they're gonna kind of tidbit a little bit more into like Uncle Ben's story and what happened there, and I think it's just a matter of time. I think they're choosing set things first, and then they're gonna dive more into the mythos.
I just don't understand, because that to me then is poor filmmaking. You're talking about they're setting things up, then dive into the mythos. That's what Homecoming was. It was this big setup to end on a cliffhanger to dive into, and that's for me why this movie, it feels, I'm not sure if it is a Sony thing, but MCU is always building upon the sequels. They don't do that where it's like, oh, one sequel, give and take. They're always following up. So for me, to them just kind of drop storylines and fill them with kind of like what nonsense like Dylan was referring to. And I don't think we're going to I don't think you'll ever see Uncle Ben in these movies casted. I don't think you might get a mention, but even then it's just like her dating Happy. It's just, you could be a scene, it could be a conversation, which is like, oh, you two are together, and they kind of quit back and forth, and Peter's like, I gotta go. And it's a really weird scene of he sits them down and says, we really need to talk, and then he leaves 10 seconds after. It's just like, what's going on here? So
I think he knew what he was gonna get them into. I think he knew they were.
No, I know, but that's where it's just, for me, it's like poor editing and writing, because it's just, you feel like you're going to get more, and that's the thing. It's all, I think other than Peter and maybe MJ eventually, I feel like everyone's just very surface level, and that's what sucks, because I think Spider-Man has some of the best characters, and they're not really using them. If you think about stuff like Harry, Ned, it's just like what we were talking about earlier. He's just a joke. He's just a comedic beat. And I'm not even a big Ned fan, but still, I'm not going to become a bigger Ned fan of him. His whole storyline, he's with this girl, and then what happens is he breaks up with the girl. So it just feels like an episode of TV, and MCU does feel like that, but this feels like one of the laser ones of like, oh, the Netflix, we got to fill out the 13, So it's just like, that's the shame, and I don't think they will. I think Aunt May will stay like this, and she'll stay, because I like these Spider-Man movies, but I don't think they're really delivering on these emotional stuff. They want to be fun and get the plushies and all this stuff and text and blah blah blah, and
which is okay.
it can be, if you like that, it's great for you.
Perfect.
It's not okay. Not okay